Welcome back to SwitchCorner. My name is Alex, and today I'm going to be looking at 10 Switch games that for completionists, it's going to get you well over 100 hours of gameplay. Now, I did this list back in 2019 when the channel, it was a whole lot smaller. Now, I do want to revisit it, not only because we went from around like 1,000 subscribers to 20,000, but there was just a whole host of new releases in 2020 that absolutely deserve a mention. So with that, like, hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and let's get started. So today, first of all, I want to let you know I got the completionist times from howlongtobeat.com. It's a great little website for those curious on, what's ahead of them. But also, I'm removing anything without a typical storyline. So think the likes of Animal Crossing. Then also this list, no particular order, just some of my personal favourites. All fantastic games that are going to be well worth your time. So kicking us off, first of all, a new one, The Long Dark. Survival fans, I did review this on the channel. It has a few bugs here and there, but yeah, still absolute must buy. It's the best first-person survival experience on the Switch, in my opinion at least, no question. Offering story modes, traditional survival modes, and challenges then, there's just so much here to keep you coming back. Story, I think it is good for beginners. You can change the difficulty if you still want to check it out, if you're kind of a veteran of the genre, but it teaches you the fundamentals with some direction. You're actually out to find your missing friend after a plane crash, and then once you're done with that, then you can jump into the endless survival mode, and that's going to be where you really turn up that brutality and stick on permadeath. Think here though, exploration, resource gathering, crafting, and combat. It's accessible, it's tense, but it's also just a ton of fun. And story, it's still being worked on, with episode 4 due in 2021 as a free download, and episode 5 will follow behind that, but no release date just yet. With all of this though, like easily 100 hours plus of gameplay. So a couple of classics for you now. First, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. Probably shouldn't work on the Nintendo Switch, let's face it, but not only did they deliver, but it's just one hell of a port. Rocking a completionist time of 190 hours, there is no doubt this is one of the kind of ultimate challenges to see everything. It not only then brings together the incredible base game, but 2 huge expansions in Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. Telling the story of Geralt of Rivia though, a monster slayer out to basically track down the Child of Prophecy. Expect this journey to take a long time, and there's a whole lot of minor stories to enjoy and people to meet along the way. For me, probably the most impressive open world game ever made. The visuals are strong though, the story unmatched, and the gameplay, the combat, just hard to beat. I wholeheartedly believe everyone should give this one a shot for kind of I'd say a mature approach to storytelling, and it's well loved with good reason. Then Breath of the Wild. I couldn't make this list without at least, a nod to The Legend of Zelda, and rightly so, with the completionist mark showing 186 hours. That still sounds kind of a little low, honestly. Last time I spoke to this game, I had a ton of comments with people saying 400, 500, 600 hours. A game's good when it keeps you locked in for that long, and considering this was it was released now nearly 4 years ago, I think that just speaks to the quality that a console launch title is still yet to be surpassed. And I think it's a common opinion to say this, it's the best game on the Nintendo Switch. This just changed up so much from what we expect of a Zelda experience, but the open world concept absolutely works, and I just think every Switch owner will have that memory of booting it up for the first time and then just walking out and seeing this open world, Hyrule, ready just to be explored with no restrictions, no barriers at all. It's a masterpiece of game design, and it just shows how good Nintendo really are. Another new one for you now, Xcom 2 Collection. It brings together not only the huge base game, but throws in the sizable War of the Chosen expansion. Combined completionist, you're looking at 140 hours of, near perfect turn-based strategy. The port, it's solid honestly for a game that challenges nearly every console and PC out there, but just come here with the expectation of frame rate issues. I don't believe that matters though for a game that's all turn-based, where you can take your time, where you don't need to, rely on split-second reflexes. Here though, aliens, they rule Earth, and you will be building out a squad and a base and basically leading the resistance to take back our home, with 4 DLC packs then as well that include new cosmetics, hero classes and weapons. There's just a whole lot of game ahead of you. Nearly everything about it though to me is near perfect, and this was honestly to me more impressive than the fact they got something like The Witcher across, just because not only does it look good and it actually runs, but because the UI and the controls, they absolutely work. An older one now, The World Ends With You Final Remix. This released on the Switch back in 2018, but it's actually a remaster of a 2007 Nintendo DS title. It's an action RPG where the concept is just completely out there. There's basically a real ground and then an underground, two planes of existence. You are Niku, and along with your friends, you've wound up in the underground. Basically, it's where the dead, they roam, and you are competing in the games, which is an opportunity for you to now return to the living, figure out what happened though, you know, why are you dead, meet new friends, and just understand this weird competition. It's good stuff that I do suggest here. Play it in handheld because the controls are kind of weird and funky just due to its original DS home, but once you do get used to it, there's still a lot to like. The main reason I wanted to bring this one up today though, the sequel is due to launch this year, 2021, so Completionist, you may want to start here, get this done first before you jump into that one, because this one's promising you 133 hours of content. So this one could easily be argued it's not over 100 hours. Hades, on how long to beat it, states 91 hours, but if you ask me, it's going to be pretty easy to find another 9 hours to push you above 100, so I'm going to be throwing it in. Hades is nearly always a conversation point over on the SwitchCorner Discord, and self-plug, you should absolutely join us there to talk all things games. But yeah, this roguelike dungeon crawler for me was the surprise hit of 2020. It gave Supergiant Games, the creators of Bastion and Transistor, in my opinion, the attention they deserved. Like any good roguelike though, expect here to be dying constantly, trying different weapon combinations, and then perfecting, of course, that runtime. You're trying to escape the clutches of the God of the Dead himself. Awesome game. I have absolutely no doubt I'll take this way above 100 hours over this next 12 months, so I think it absolutely deserves the mention. Fire Emblem, 3 houses now, and this is a monster of a game. It's clocking in on average at 187 hours. In this one, story-wise, war is coming and order. It's maintained by the church and academy. You'll be a teacher of one of these 3 houses, and you'll basically be assigned with not only managing, you know, these students' academic lives, but also their combat abilities in turn-based battle. It's part strategy, part RPG, but the depth here is just absolutely incredible. It's a stunning world to explore, and it even recently received DLC, which I'm actually yet to add myself, honestly, but it adds a secret 4th house, a new story, and a whole lot of cosmetics and playable characters. JRPG fans and turn-based fans here, you should absolutely consider taking a look at this one. So a game that got my addiction going, Slay the Spire. Gotta be honest, wasn't huge on the whole, you know, card deck genre in general. Didn't expect to get too much out of this one, and yeah, absolutely wrong. Game is incredible. The depth and the addictive gameplay loop, it just sunk its claws into me and kept me coming back kind of over and over again. It's similar to, in that sense, Darkest Dungeon, also a 100+ hour game. Slay the Spire though, it's part card deck management, part roguelite, and the idea is simple: just climb the spire, reach the top, take down, you know, enemies and bosses along the way in these deck-based battles. But like any good roguelike, it's all about understanding what each card does and how it works alongside another. With the layout of the spire changing with each run, then I'm always excited just to see what's coming next. And then that simplistic visual style, it's just got a whole lot of charm, a whole lot of character, and I think it's probably more character than I maybe give this genre credit for at times. I took a break from it for like a month though, and I just felt like I was starting again, honestly, when I did come back. There's just so much going on. With the average completionist time though of 224 hours, this is the longest game on today's list. So our penultimate game of the video then, 2020 saw the release of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. It's shorter than the second entry, it's clocking in for completionists at 128 hours, but I do think it is a stronger game than the sequel, and that sequel is giving you 261 hours. I just don't think runtime is everything though, and I just enjoyed the overall vibe and story of this one that little bit more. Not that there's anything, you know, wrong with the sequel, it's an amazing game too. This one, it's a remaster though of the 2010 title that debuted on the Nintendo Wii. It just brings along with it not just the base game here, but also they've done a lot of work, gameplay improvements, new music, updated graphics, some UI overhaul, and even an epilogue quest to face. This though, it's the Origins tale. It's the first time we got to see the mechanical menace, and just the ride across this world, it's hard to top. The second, for me, it never quite captured, that wow factor that this one brings. Again though, more of this world, it was absolutely not a bad thing, and I was super appreciative to see a sequel. Our final game of the week then, and I promised last time I'll talk about this one in a while, but my top game of 2020, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3, a masterful JRPG, and we'll see the 4th entry hit the Nintendo Switch in the next couple of months. I cannot wait. I have it on PlayStation, couldn't resist, but for me, the Switch just now feels like home, because that's where I first, experienced and discovered the series. The 3rd entry though, it's for sure a little more challenging to get into if you have, no past experience with it, but I didn't, and I still managed. I clocked over 100 hours personally in this specific game. I know I'm facing a great game though, when I basically went out immediately after finishing it, and I picked up the first 2 games, and I even pre-ordered the collector's edition for the 4th. A story that's in some ways similar to that of Fire Emblem though. You're a war hero and you take on the role of a professor at a school, and you're training what are the next line of warriors while also maintaining, their just general day-to-day. It gets this great balance between day life in the field combat and even mechs, and yeah, this turn-based RPG, one of the best I've personally played in a long time, so jump in now and be ready for part 4. And that's my 10 for today. As you probably guessed, a whole lot of RPGs. It's kind of typical for the genre to, be huge. But still, there should be something for everyone. And there's a whole lot I still missed. Think, Monster Hunter Generations, Divinity Original Sin 2, Diablo 3, Dragon's Dogma, Darkest Dungeon, that I've spoken about way too many times at this point. But yeah, plenty of games to keep you busy, that is for sure. So let me know in the comments down below, what games have, your addiction on? What have you basically been spending your time with most recently? What would you even be willing to sink 100 plus hours into? With that then, like a shout out to the patrons of the channel for just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. If you do want to check that out for yourself, I have linked it in the video description down below. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.